Welcome to In Tune. I'm your co-host, Matt Rector, an aspiring luthier from Baltimore, Maryland.
And I'm your other co-host, Ethan Morset, a music producer and founder of Blue Haven Music based in Minnesota.
Our goal is to provide value to enterprising musicians, artists, and craftspeople by sharing our conversations and the lessons we've learned along the way.
If you like our content, help us out by following us and giving us a positive rating on whatever platform you listen to podcasts. Tune in for new episodes on the first and third Wednesday of each month. This is episode 40. That is right, folks. The big 4-0. We've hit a major milestone on this podcast. All joking aside, we have recorded a lot of episodes, which is cool. But yes, this is episode 40, and today we are going to talk about what in the world is art. Like, how do you define art? How is it, like, what is art and what is not art? We're going to get very philosophical today. We're going to talk about what is a chair. Just kidding, we're not. But I don't know, Matt just had the idea that, like, we should talk about, like, what is art? And because it's kind of, honestly, probably pretty hard to define. And just see by talking about it if we get any additional insight out of it. So I guess we'll find out by the end of this episode. So, since I kicked the episode off, Matt, I think you should have to first explain what is art.
All right. So first off, I just want to apologize for any extra background noise. I normally record in my workshop, and right now I'm just in my dining area. My dog could be walking around or doing something, so my workshop is a little occupied right now. Got a few projects in the works. I'm working on making something for someone for the holidays, so as a little gift. So got a few things going on. But anyway, back to our topic. So what prompted this is I recently I got some feedback from one of our top listeners, one of our most loyal fans.
Who could that be?
Shout out to Chris. You know who you are.
Oh, yeah. Ba-ba-ba-bow.
Anyway, he was talking about how, you know, he hadn't even, like, this thought hadn't even really occurred to him, but the type of thing that you and I do, although they are both music related, and although they are both sort of business oriented, they're really very different things. You know, your sort of craft, if you will, you know, you spend a lot of time on a computer, and it's a lot of digital stuff. And there's definitely some analog stuff in there too, but a lot of it is digital, whereas my sort of craft, if you will, is very hands-on and very analog, and there could be some computer elements if I got into using CNC or something like that, right? But very different. And he pointed out that, you know, we could even maybe do 2 different podcasts or some sort of spin-off, or who knows.
Mm-hmm.
And that got me sort of thinking about how what we do is connected, and sort of got me on the topic of, you know, craft and art, and where do you draw the line between craft and art. And so I thought it might be an interesting episode to discuss, you know, how do you classify art? You know, what do you consider to be art? And, you know, do I consider what I do art? Do you consider what you do art? That sort of thing. So, for me personally, I don't feel like what I do is really art. And I know that I'm sure that I'm gonna like upset some luthiers who, might listen, like, who build really beautiful instruments, that sort of thing. I think that art is usually, it says something. It has some sort of message behind it. And it's exists for the sake of that, and for the sake of being some sort of statement, or to evoke some sort of emotional reaction, for people to see it and sort of feel a response as they interact with it. And I think when you're making a guitar, I think you're building something functional. The purpose of what I'm doing is to build a musical instrument that someone can make music with. It's not really meant to just be this thing to sort of convey a message or evoke some sort of emotion, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Like, I think if you're making something for a functional reason, I think you could make the argument that it's not art. And again, I know that's gonna upset some people. I think that there are definitely artistic elements, and there's definitely craftsmanship in what I do. Like, even though I kind of hate that word because it's very overused. But yeah, that's just how I see things. What about you, Ethan?
I don't know. I mean, the first things, just since we're talking about your stuff, the first things I think about is like, yeah, so it's functional, but like, what about like there's a lot of like a guitar, not all guitars look the same, right? Like some guitars are like my guitar, which wherever the heck it is on the wall back there, which I don't know if you can see, but like it's blue, and it's blue for a reason, and like Blue Haven Music. And like, so like the guitar you pick and the way you design a guitar has some sense of like self-expression in it. And like maybe
Sure.
that's different for like electric guitars than it is for acoustic guitars, but I do think there is, at least for electric guitars, like the color you choose and like the shape of the guitar, and like even things like what you put on the fretboard, like little emblems and inlets and things like that. Like, one could argue those are like you said, there's artistic elements, but like if your craft was literally just about function, none of that stuff would ever matter, right?
That's true. I suppose that's true. I guess I think of like the primary purpose and primary function of something,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that you could also make the argument that if you're just trying to look at it from a very functional standpoint, like, a lot of, I hate to say this as someone who wants to support luthiers that are, building handmade instruments in the United States, that sort of thing, or in other countries, but there are import guitars that are factory built in this day and age. The technology's gotten so good that are pretty darn good instruments. You can get them for $1,000 or less.
Mm-hmm.
So like, it's, if you were looking at it from just only a functional point, like, would you ever buy anything different than that? Maybe not. So yeah, I guess there's probably something to be said about that. Now would you consider what you do? I guess, okay, since we're on the subject of of guitar building first, I just want to ask you, would you consider what I do to be art? And I'm not going to be offended. I mean, I already told you I don't think it is. So you're not going to offend me if you say no.
I mean, art is very subjective, so you could completely I don't know. I would make the argument that you definitely could consider it art in some way. Like, I see what you're saying from a functional standpoint, but even like sometimes like regular art, whether it's like music, like stuff that's traditionally considered art, right? Like music, like even like paintings and stuff like that. Sometimes, like, again, you can make the argument there's a function to it, right? Like, this song is a tool for this. Like think about like what I'm trying to get into, music licensing, right? Like, generating a song for music licensing is not just about writing a song to express myself. It's about writing a song that meets a specific need for like conveying an emotion for something else. So like, while I still consider that art, like, it's very much more of like a like I'm not like Linkin Park, right? Where I'm like writing music that is about me, my self expression. It's more about like writing a song that meets uh that meets a need for like a video or a TV commercial. And so you could argue that that is kind of a tool, right? Rather than like art, because it has a specific function. But I would still classify that as art, because to me, pretty much all music is art in some way, in some way, shape, or form. Um,
Hmm.
because I don't know, I guess you're still expressing something, even if it's like for a specific purpose, like a TV show. Like, for example, like if you're trying to express like being happy and like in whatever is going on in your life for like a commercial. Like, I bought a Honda and I'm like, it's the best decision I've ever made. That's like the emotion you're trying to like convey. Like, then you're gonna write a song specifically like for that emotion. Like, I'm happy, like I am, I'm a genius because I bought a Honda. Like, obviously not that specific, but like,
That's Ethan's newest release, guys.
yeah, it's my latest release is I'm a genius because I bought a Honda. Um, but
I think you need to make that a real song.
Honda will license it.
Yeah, there
Um,
you go.
but like, that's like, if I write a song like that, I'm not writing it for myself, or like I'm literally writing it for a commercial. Um, but I don't know. I would still consider that art, because again, it's like it's about expression, and that's still expressing an emotion. It's just expressing an emotion for a purpose.
Hmm.
I don't know. Um, that's where like things get really murky, because it's like, just because something has a function, does that automatically dismiss it as not art? Like, I don't know. I don't think so. Not in my opinion. But like, I get what you're saying. Like, guitar is a tool that is used to make art. Um, but I think there is enough like personality and like Rector guitars, right? Like, you're not gonna just make a generic guitar that looks like every other guitar. Like, there's going to be something unique or different about yours, and in that way, and that's just branding, honestly. But like your guitar is going to stand out in some way, shape, or form, right? And like, I guess you could make like an argument that that is like how you differentiate and express your brand.
Hmm.
um so like, an argument definitely could be made that that is artistic, and that
Or functional.
it's functional. But like, I feel like just because it's functional doesn't mean it's not art. Like, are we really gonna say like, just because something is functional then it can't be art? So like, art is only capable of being art if it's not functional, you know?
Hmm.
Like, I don't know that I necessarily agree with that, because then all of a
Sure.
sudden, like, I don't know. Like, what if I start using a painting as a doorstop? Like, is it no longer art anymore because it's being used for a function? Like, I mean, I'm not gonna do that, but like, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't think it's mutually exclusive.
Yeah, this is such a hard to define topic. Like for example, if you had with our technology today, you could get some like a printer to print out a copy of, I don't know, a painting, right? Or you could get the artist to, paint said painting.
Hmm.
And even if, like, let's just say hypothetically that they end up exactly, like, the end result looks exactly the same, right? One of the, like, it's still not the same thing, right? I think most people would probably say that one is art and one is not.
I mean, it depends because like, even though the picture is like the photo copy that you print on a printer is still a picture of the art, does that make it not art anymore? Like it's literally like someone's copying a picture of it because it's art, right? Like
Well,
so
I'm saying that like they're being created hypothetically from like two different like from two different methods. But the end result is like, imagine the Sistine Chapel and like Michelangelo painting the ceiling, right?
mhm,
Like imagine that, you know, him doing like Michelangelo painting the ceiling versus like,
like a robot.
yeah, and the result is the same. The end result is in theory the same, but I think you could make the argument that one is art and one is not.
Okay, so if one man, we're getting like deep, like 15 minutes in. Like okay, like but like what about graphic design? Graphic design is on a computer. Um it it is art completely in the box. Like it's designed by a human. Like just because it's done in a computer, like or it's done with machines, I don't think makes it less of an art. Cause like think about
I agree with that. I
like
like sorry, I don't subscribe like, CNC is big in like woodworking, and I don't subscribe to the idea that just because you use CNC that it isn't, like, it can't be art, because honestly like a lot of that stuff also frees up different creative possibilities that just weren't really possible before. Like you can make some really complex shapes and textures and things using things like that that just might not have really been possible to do before.
mhm. Well, I mean like even hypothetically, like let's say like Michelangelo or is that who it is that did the Sistine Chapel? Oh my gosh.
I hope so. I hope so.
Cuz otherwise
If it's not, then I'm gonna look like an idiot.
well
But
Michelangelo was a sculptor, wasn't he? He did like the okay.
I thought he painted the Sistine Chapel though too.
Who painted? Okay, we're gonna do this. Who painted the Sistine Chapel? Otherwise, someone's just gonna. Okay, it says Michelangelo. Although someone did ask, did Leonardo paint the Sistine Chapel? So, anyway, there is our education system failing us. So not that
Wait,
that
was it Leonardo da Vinci?
no, it's Michelangelo.
Oh,
Uh,
okay. Okay,
according
so we were right.
right, but the fact that we were so unconfident about it is reflects how great our education system was. Um, I don't know. Not that I'm just joking, of course. Um, but like even if he had a machine do all that, like if he basically instructed the machine on what to do, isn't it still art in that case? Like if he like basically said, here's what I want you to do. I want you to paint the Sistine Chapel and I want you to paint it this way and this way and this way. Like even if a machine executed those orders on his behalf, isn't it still art? Because like a human being was involved in the generation of that content. So like I think the only way like what you're talking about, like in that example, like if a robot were to paint the Sistine Chapel, I think it would have to be a robot paints the Sistine Chapel and the robot is generating the idea, right?
Mm-hmm.
For it to not be art. I don't know.
What about like, so since you brought up Michelangelo being a sculptor, what about like, a robot or machine sculpting something out of marble versus, a human being?
Sure. So like someone like three almost like 3D printing, right? Like someone goes
Yeah,
into like 3D printing software and like designs something. I still think it can be art.
the same thing.
Like I don't think it has to be art. Like I guess intention does matter because like if I'm going into a 3D printing software and I'm making I don't know, what's like something that like let's say is a luthier, something that helps me do my job more efficiently, right? Like a holder or something like that. Like then it's not art, right? Like it's very functional, but then if you 3D printed like a little plastic sculpture, like just because it's made by a 3D printer and just because it's made out of plastic doesn't mean it's not art, right? Like someone might have taken time to put into that and like make something that they really liked. So like I don't know because like the problem is like you can't just say creating is art because like there's going to be a lot of things where like you can create something like you're saying that's functional and is not intended to be art, but then on the flip side you can create something that is in a way like an expression of something. Like it doesn't necessarily have to express like an emotion, but like I would argue that like creating a cartoon character is art. Or like like making like an action figure out of 3D printing, right? Like if you created that action figure, like you came up with the idea and everything, like then I would argue that's could be definitely is like in that art area because you're like making something new that I don't know, because to me that's not functional anymore, right?
Hmm.
Like, um,
So I looked up. I tried to look up like the definition of art and the definition of craft, and here's how it's defined. So I'll start with art, since that's the subject of our. So the very first thing that comes up is art, a noun. Okay, so the first definition that's provided via Google is the expression or application of human creative skill and imagination, typically in a visual form, such as painting or sculpture, producing works to be appreciated primarily for their beauty or emotional power. Okay, interesting. So, expression or application. I'll read it one more time. The expression or application of human creative skill and imagination, typically in a visual form, such as painting or sculpture, producing works to be appreciated primarily for their beauty or emotional power. Now, craft, the definition is much shorter. So the first thing that comes up for craft is an activity involving skill in making things by hand. An activity involving skill in making things by hand. So I heard someone say something the other day that, like, I was listening to a podcast and it was sort of like craft is the craft is the how and art is the why.
Craft is the how, art is the why.
Mm-hmm.
I still get hung up on like because like
Well, I'm not saying that that's those definitions or what I just said have to
like
be
okay,
the the truth. Like I'm just
first of all, just because something is a definition in Merriam-Webster's dictionary or whatever does not make it like who gets to be the dictator of like, oh my gosh, it just did the balloons thing. Who gets to be like what human being should be able to decide this word means this, right? Because like everyone could have like, I'm not saying there isn't like an absolute like definition of stuff, but at the same time, like what human being gets to decide this word means this, right?
Mhm.
Um, so like, sure, like even if we took like their definition and said it's like the definition for art, like or craft, like there's still even in that, especially the art one, I feel like there's so much wiggle room because like if if building a guitar is just about function, then why even make it a different color or a different shape? Or why even put like inlets in it? Or why even put your brand on the guitar? Right? Like, I think there, like, if it's all about function, then you shouldn't care about what the guitar looks like, right? Like it should just be whatever is functional, and that's just not like when you build a guitar, like you're going to be concerned about what it looks like to other people. Um
No, it's all about the sound. I don't base anything on aesthetics.
like
Just kidding.
if it sounds amazing and looks like absolute crap, like people are going to judge it before they even play it, you know? And
Mhm.
like so I don't know, like I guess I think with building guitars there's definitely like you said at the very least there's artistic elements. Whether that makes the whole thing an art or not, I would still tend to lean towards like more inclusive rather than exclusive, like more things are art than things that are not art. But I would say that yeah, there is a line. Like a hammer, for example, is never going to be art to me. Um
Well,
because
wait a minute.
it's a tool. Like
But what if it's like, a hammer that like
an antique
is like has like a fancy engraving. Someone engraved the handle or engraved the head of the hammer. Like,
or
what if it's
or
something like that?
yes. Uh
Like Thor's hammer.
then
Someone make like a fancy looking type of Thor's hammer type of thing that's decorative.
uh yeah, I hear what you're saying, and now that all of a sudden makes it more about expression. Because, like, again, if it's all about the function, why, like, engrave your hammer with, like, some quote that inspires you, or, like, why make the handle, like, I don't know, like, I guess anything could be made to have more artistic elements and elements of expression. Um, like even your car, right? Like the car you buy, a lot of times is an expression of like you, because like it's what you like. You usually pick a color that you like. Um, a lot of people they want to look for whatever reason they want to look cool while they drive down the road. I honestly don't care. That's why my car's not actually crappy, but like, I don't know, like, I feel like that still almost has a self-expression element to it, but like, would you really consider a car a work of art? I don't know. No, not normally, no. So like, I don't know if there's, because you can't just define, like, things that are functional can be art, right? So like, it being functional doesn't dismiss it as not art, unless that is the definition. Maybe we say that art is always for like expression and never for function. If it's about function, then it's no longer art anymore. But then, like, how many songs are no longer art anymore? How many how you could even argue like the painting on the Sistine Chapel was put there for a purpose, like a function, right? Or like building a cathedral.
That's true.
Building a cathedral was,
Yeah.
They're grandiose for a reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it serves a function. So like, I mean, to no surprise, like, we're probably not going to have an answer on this, but like, just because it has a function, I feel like it doesn't mean it's not art. In fact, like, I'd argue that most art would no longer be art anymore if you said it can't have a function.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't even talked about the banana that was duct taped to a wall yet.
Tell me about that. I don't really know about that, honestly.
I don't know, like, the summary is some dude bought a banana duct taped to a wall for millions of dollars, and then he ate the banana.
Millions of dollars? Are you serious? Hold on. I have to look this up now.
Okay, I'm pretty sure it's something like that. Banana duct tape art. $6.24 million, is that what it said?
Oh my gosh.
I thought
Wait, what?
I thought
This
it,
can't be real.
I thought it was like millions of dollars. Oh yeah, Smash estimates to sell for 6.24 million at a auction in New York on Wednesday. And then, like, I'm pretty sure like a dude like actually like ate the banana. In a press release announcing the sale, Sotheby's head of contemporary art for the Americas, David Galperin, had described the art as a defiant work of pure genius.
Yeah, someone also says they described it as iconic and disruptive.
So if a banana duct taped to a wall can be art,
But that's what I'm saying though. That's not that's art because it's an expression. Like, I don't really know what this like person was trying to say. Like, I don't know if it's supposed to be some conceptual thing that's sort of making fun of like the snobbery of like that can exist. Sorry, yeah, the snobbery that can exist like in like expensive art and art collectors or something. Like, maybe that has like some sort of message or something. Like, my guess is it does, and it's not functional really. Like, it's an expression, like, pretty much just for the sake of being an expression. And that's what makes it art.
It's
right?
not
Like,
functional. It's not functional as long as you don't eat the banana. But what if you eat the banana?
Well,
And what if you take the duct tape and use it on something else?
okay. Yeah, I don't know. I
You,
honestly don't know. I
you,
thought I'd have more clarity about how I view this after this
you you're
conversation. It's
welcome.
worse.
You're welcome. I was intentionally going to make this as complicated as possible. I mean, okay, on the flip side, like it says visual arts, right? Like is branding art? Like graphic design for branding? Cuz like that's done in graphic design software and it's done to create a feeling, right? Branding's all about like feeling, right? Like and memorability, but like your brand, you're usually aiming to like create a feeling in like somebody. Like so like that's
My
that's an
brand creates the
emotion.
feeling of anxiety. Just kidding. Just kidding.
I'm worried this guitar is gonna break every time I play it. Like you're always worried about the strings breaking. You're
Yeah.
I mean honestly when I'm tuning a guitar sometimes it creates a little bit of anxiety because I'm tuning the string up and I'm like shit, it's going to snap. It's going to snap. Oh gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Uh anyway, I don't know. I hear what you're saying, but this is like this is just like any other philosophical debate that ever happens. Is like there isn't a clear answer. Like you could point to that and be like that's not art, and then you could point to that and be like that is, and they literally could both be hammers, and one is not art and one is. Like if someone duct taped a hammer to a wall, would it all of a sudden make it art? You know, just like a banana. If like what made that banana that they duct taped to a wall special enough to be an artistic banana, you know? Uh versus like some other banana that anybody else has. And then on top of that, like I don't know. Like what makes I don't know, what makes that valuable, right? Cuz like I could go walk up to a wall and duct tape a banana to the wall and does why is that not mega valuable? Um I don't know.
I don't know. I I can't imagine paying $6 million for a banana duct taped to a wall.
But you're paying for what it symbolizes.
Mm, well, I can buy a lot of my own bananas and duct tape them to walls.
You should just duck in your studio, just or in your workshop, just duct tape bananas to the wall everywhere.
Yeah, we should put like an Easter egg in some of our videos where there's like that's just in the background.
Just see if anyone notices it.
Yeah, there we go.
Maybe something like maybe one thing is if anything is duct taped to a wall, it automatically becomes art. Think about it. It would make it a lot simpler.
Well, I am an amazing artist then.
Because you're duct taping stuff to walls all the time.
Well, I could. I'm just saying.
It would be funny to just randomly have like a duct taped banana to the wall and see if anyone just even notices it.
Do it at work.
I'm gonna go to work tomorrow and I'm gonna duct tape a banana to my desk and see if anyone says anything. And then I'm gonna say it's a work of art. It inspires me.
Yeah, if they like tell you to take it down, just be like, "This is destruction of personal property. That's worth $6 million." Yeah.
What if I took what would so like what if I took like a dried piece of crap. And then I wrote like my boss's name on it and set it on my desk. Is that art?
I don't know, but look, yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what to say to that.
I'm just saying, like, it's expressing something for sure.
It is. It is definitely expressing
It is
something. But I
sending
think
it is sending a message. It's maybe that's art.
maybe. I think we've gotten to that point in the podcast where we've expressed enough about this topic. So
This
do you have any close-
this episode is art. The episode itself is art.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, mind equals blown. Oh. You have any closing statements, Ethan?
Not really. I guess I'm not surprised that we weren't able to solve this question because it's philosophical, and I don't know that anyone really can conclusively define it without any kind of exceptions or anything. I would tend to lean towards more things are art than are not, in that, like, if it involves like some form of like visual expression or expression just in any shape or form. I think that means that there's artistic elements at the very least to it, and then to me that's makes it kind of art. I don't know. Sounds like you and I would disagree with that, though.
I don't know. It's a tough line to walk. Like, there's a lot of mediums we didn't even really talk about, like photography, for example, that involves, in this day and age, digital technology. And I would photography, I think, can definitely be art. But like, if you're taking photographs of like a crime scene, like for forensics, like I think most people would probably say, well, that's not really like art, right? So anyway, we could get on a whole nother tangent if we start going down that rabbit hole. So to our listeners, let us know what you think. What do you consider art?
Please do, because we're very confused on
Yeah, help us out. And until next time, stay tuned.